welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the biology of your hair. We're going to break down the science of how it grows, what actually causes it to thin out, and what the real, science-backed tools are that can help keep it healthy. And this quote from Stanford professor Andrew Huberman is the perfect place to start. It really reframes how we should think about hair. It's not just some cosmetic thing on your head, it's this incredible, self-renewing system, a true marvel of biology, where every single strand is powered by its own little factory. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the tiny engine that makes hair, walk through its life cycle, pinpoint the #1 bad guy behind hair loss, and then, the good part, we'll explore the tools we can actually use to protect it.
Okay, so let's get right into that biological blueprint. To really get a handle on hair, you have to look at the follicle first. That's the microscopic powerhouse that builds every single strand you have. This right here, this is the absolute core of it all. See, your hair isn't just dead protein. It's actively, constantly being built by its own dedicated stem cell factory at the very base. You can almost think of it like a personal 3D printer for every strand, just working away to produce the hair you see.
What's so crucial here is how all these parts work as a team. The shaft is what we see, of course, but the real magic is happening way down below the skin, inside that hair bulb. That's the command center. It's where the stem cells live, and they're getting all their fuel, oxygen, and nutrients from a tiny network of capillaries. That's what powers the whole operation.
So now we know where hair is made, let's talk about how. The life of a single hair is kind of like a 3-act play. And this cycle, it determines everything from how long your hair can get to why it eventually falls out. And this whole process is super dynamic. Anagen, the growth phase, that's the star of the show. For the hair on your head, it can last for years, which is why it can grow so long. Then you've got catagen, a really short transition. And finally, telogen, which is the rest phase before the hair sheds and the whole cycle kicks off all over again. And as you'll see, pretty much every hair health treatment is trying to do one thing: keep hairs in that active anagen phase for as long as possible. So what messes up this elegant cycle? Well, for most people who are dealing with thinning hair, the main trigger isn't stress or wearing a hat too much. It's hormonal. So let's meet the main antagonist in our story. Okay, both men and women produce testosterone, but an enzyme in our bodies called 5-alpha reductase can convert some of that testosterone into something called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. And here's the problem. DHT is like a super potent version. It latches onto receptors in the hair follicle with 5 times the strength of regular testosterone. It is, for all intents and purposes, testosterone on steroids. So, to put it simply, DHT is the villain. For follicles that are genetically susceptible, it literally attacks the hair's command center. It forces the hair out of that precious growth phase way too early. And even worse, it slowly shrinks the entire factory that makes the hair. Over time, this miniaturization process means you get thinner, shorter hairs, until eventually you get no hair from that follicle at all. All right, now that we understand the problem, let's get to the good stuff. The solutions. What does the science actually say about how we can fight back? Well, the tools we have fall into 3 main buckets. This table basically lays out our whole strategy. We can physically stimulate the follicle to sort of wake up those stem cells. We can chemically improve the supply lines, bringing in blood and nutrients. Or we can go on offense and chemically block the production of DHT in the first place. Let's start with Minoxidil, which you probably know as Rogaine. You know, there's a fascinating bit of history here. It was first developed as a pill for high blood pressure, but patients started reporting this weird side effect. They were growing more hair. So researchers figured out its power is in vasodilation. It literally widens blood vessels. When you put it on your scalp, it boosts the fuel delivery to that stem cell factory, which helps extend the growth phase. But, and this is a big but, once you stop using it, those benefits usually go away. Now let's talk about the heavy hitters, Finasteride and dutasteride. Don't just help the follicle, they go right after the source of the problem. They work by blocking that 5-alpha reductase enzyme, the very thing that makes DHT. They are extremely effective, but you have to understand, this is a serious hormonal intervention. Lowering your body's most powerful androgen can have side effects throughout your system, which is why this is a prescription-only path that absolutely requires a doctor's supervision. So what's the most powerful strategy of all? Well, the research on this is pretty clear.
combining approaches like using a mechanical tool like microneedling to stimulate the follicle while also using a chemical treatment to either boost blood flow or block DHT, it gives you way better results than just relying on one method alone. It's that classic 1-2 punch, attacking the problem from multiple angles.
Okay, so let's put this all together. What are the key things you need to remember to build your own science-informed approach to hair health? So let's bring it all home with a clear strategy. Everything comes back to supporting that stem cell niche. You want to protect the anagen phase, keep it long and healthy. You have to defend the follicle from its main enemy, DHT, and you can intervene with tools that support, defend, or ideally do both in combination. By really getting these core ideas, the stem cell niche, that growth cycle, and the role of DHT, you're now in a position to look past all the marketing claims and have truly informed conversations about your hair health. The science gives you the map. The next step on the journey is all yours.